Welcome to the CompTIA A+ Prepcast presented by baremetalcyber.com. Documentation and ticketing are foundational practices in information technology support, playing a critical role in ensuring consistency, accountability, and effective communication. These tools are not limited to any one job function. They are used at every level of technical support, from entry-level help desk agents to senior systems administrators. The A+ certification expects test takers to recognize the purpose and application of various documentation methods and ticketing processes. Understanding how to properly use these systems improves efficiency, helps resolve issues faster, and ensures that no work goes untracked or misunderstood. Ticketing systems are specialized platforms that track incidents, service requests, and changes within an organization's technology environment. They serve as structured records containing timestamps, user information, problem descriptions, technician actions, and final resolutions. Well-known ticketing platforms include ServiceNow, Jira, and Spiceworks, each offering different levels of customization and integration. These systems are used across industries to document technical issues, assign responsibilities, and coordinate team workflows. The presence of a reliable ticketing system ensures that no request is overlooked and that support teams can manage workload systematically. Every support ticket moves through a defined life cycle, which helps organize the troubleshooting and resolution process. The stages typically include ticket creation, assignment to a technician, investigation of the problem, implementation of the solution, and final closure. Each of these phases requires clear technician input to ensure accountability and prevent knowledge loss. When this life cycle is followed consistently, it prevents duplicated work and ensures that progress is visible to all involved. On the exam, you may encounter scenarios where understanding the correct stage or next step in the ticket life cycle is essential to answering correctly. Prioritization is another key concept tied to ticketing systems, often governed by service-level agreements or SLAs. Tickets are typically ranked based on their severity, such as whether the issue affects a single user or an entire department. The SLA defines the maximum allowable response time and resolution time based on that priority. Failing to meet the conditions of an SLA can lead to escalations, service credits, or internal reviews. The A+ exam may include questions about prioritizing tickets under real-world conditions, requiring you to weigh impact and urgency. Proper documentation within a ticket is just as important as the technical actions taken. Every ticket should contain a clear, factual, and complete description of the issue, as well as any attempted troubleshooting steps. Slang, shorthand, or vague language can lead to misunderstandings and hinder resolution. A properly written ticket provides continuity if the issue is handed off to another technician and becomes part of the organizational knowledge base. Documentation that lacks detail or clarity often results in duplicated efforts and longer resolution times. Consider a scenario where a user reports an inability to send emails. The ticket should note the symptoms, such as an Outlook error code, and list the steps taken by the technician. In this case, the technician might verify domain name system settings, restart the Outlook application, and reconnect the user's account to the mail server. Once the issue is resolved and the user confirms functionality, the ticket is marked closed with clear notes. This example illustrates how detailed documentation supports future troubleshooting, helps identify trends, and maintains transparency. The resolution section of a ticket serves multiple purposes. It allows future technicians to reference known solutions when encountering similar problems, which speeds up the diagnostic process. It also provides an audit trail for accountability and may be reviewed as part of performance evaluations or internal reporting. By clearly stating what resolved the issue, technicians help build a more efficient support environment. In many organizations, documenting the resolution is mandatory, and incomplete tickets are considered unfinished work. Adding attachments such as logs, screenshots, or diagnostic outputs can greatly enhance the usefulness of a ticket. These visual or textual artifacts offer context that may not be fully conveyed in written descriptions. They also help other technicians validate findings and support audit requirements. However, it is important to ensure that any sensitive information, such as passwords or personal identifiers, is properly redacted before attaching. On the A+ exam, candidates should understand when and how to include supplemental information responsibly. Tickets should also be linked to specific users or assets whenever possible. Associating a ticket with a particular workstation, printer, or network device provides a complete view of that asset's history. This practice supports trend analysis, such as identifying hardware that repeatedly fails or users who experience recurring issues. Linking tickets to assets also aids in budgeting, lifecycle planning, and warranty support. Many ticketing systems allow this linking to happen automatically, but technicians must confirm the information is accurate. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Change documentation is a critical part of responsible IT operations. When planning a change, such as updating software, modifying a firewall rule, or replacing network hardware, technicians must document the purpose of the change and perform a risk assessment. This includes identifying potential impacts, defining a testing procedure, and outlining a rollback plan in case the change introduces problems. Formal approval is often required from a supervisor or change management board before the change is executed. Once completed, this documentation becomes part of the audit trail and can be referenced for future planning or troubleshooting. Network documentation provides a visual and technical map of how systems are interconnected. This may include network topology diagrams, port maps for switches, and IP address tables that list the assignments of static and dynamic addresses. These resources are indispensable during network configuration, expansion, or troubleshooting. Keeping this documentation accurate and secure is essential, especially in complex environments. If a device fails or a configuration needs to be replicated, having up-to-date network documentation allows technicians to respond quickly and correctly. Hardware inventory documentation tracks key details about physical devices within an organization. This includes serial numbers, model names, purchase dates, assigned user or department, and current location. Such documentation supports lifecycle management by helping plan upgrades, decommissions, and budgeting for replacements. It also helps identify which devices may be eligible for warranty service. Many organizations use asset management software to automate and centralize this process. The A+ exam expects familiarity with how and why hardware inventories are maintained. Software licensing records ensure that all applications used in an organization are properly purchased and deployed. These records typically store product keys, expiration dates, purchase confirmations, and the number of seats used versus purchased. This helps avoid license violations, which could result in financial penalties or legal action. Software audits conducted by vendors require accurate and up-to-date records. In larger environments, software inventory tools can automatically detect installed programs and track compliance. This practice also helps avoid unnecessary purchases by showing which licenses are underutilized. Security documentation involves recording key elements of a secure environment. This can include firewall rule sets, user access control logs, intrusion detection alerts, and formal incident reports. Such documentation is necessary not only for troubleshooting, but also for compliance with standards like HIPAA or PCI. It must be stored in secure locations with restricted access and should be reviewed periodically to ensure it remains relevant and accurate. The exam may test your understanding of what belongs in security documentation and how it supports audit requirements. Standard operating procedures, often abbreviated as SOPs, are written guides that define how to perform routine tasks step by step. These instructions help ensure consistency and reduce human error, especially when tasks are complex or infrequent. Examples might include how to onboard a new user, back up a server, or reset a network device. Technicians are expected to follow these procedures exactly, and updates to SOPs must be approved and documented. These documents are especially useful during onboarding or when issues are escalated to new team members. Acceptable Use Policies, or AUPs, are documents that outline the rules users must follow when using organizational technology resources. These policies define prohibited behaviors, such as accessing inappropriate content, installing unauthorized software, or sharing confidential data. Employees are often required to acknowledge these policies as part of their onboarding process. In the event of a violation, the AUP supports disciplinary procedures and provides a legal framework for enforcing consequences. A+ candidates should understand how AUPs contribute to both security and operational control. Centralized documentation offers many benefits that improve day-to-day efficiency and long-term reliability. When all documentation is stored in a single, well-organized location, it becomes easier for team members to find accurate information quickly. This improves collaboration across shifts and departments, especially during critical incidents. It also streamlines onboarding by giving new technicians access to complete and verified procedures. Having a single source of truth helps prevent conflicting instructions and ensures that changes to processes are immediately reflected in the master documentation set. Poor documentation can lead to significant risks in IT environments. When records are missing, outdated, or unclear, support becomes inconsistent and institutional knowledge is lost. Technicians may waste time repeating the same troubleshooting steps, or they might miss critical configuration details. This can delay issue resolution and create frustration among users and support staff. Miscommunication between teams may also result in errors, missed updates, or overlooked security concerns. The exam may present scenarios where poor documentation plays a role in technical failures. To conclude, documentation and ticketing are essential practices that form the backbone of technical operations. Best practices include writing clearly, updating frequently, and storing information securely. Tickets should be tied to specific assets and users whenever possible, and changes should be thoroughly documented with approvals and rollback plans. Strong documentation supports faster troubleshooting, smoother onboarding, and improved communication. The A+ exam frequently tests these skills because they are not only theoretical but expected in every support environment from day one. Thank you for listening. Please visit baremetalcyber.com for more cybersecurity information, podcasts, books, and more.